I am going to discuss on the topic study on the morphology, life cycle, prevalence, epidemiology, pathogenicity, diagnosis, prophylaxis, and treatment of Giardia intestinalis. Anton van Leeuwenhoek in the year 1681 first detected this parasite while examining his own stool. Next, Lamb in the year 1859 described the parasite, and Alexefi in the year 1914 placed in the genus under the Giardia. Giardia intestinalis is found in every part of the world, and it is found in the duodenum and upper part of the jejunum of man. There are the two phases, trophozoite and the cyst. That is a trophozoite and that is a cyst form. When viewed flat, the shape is like that is a tennis or badminton racket, and when viewed on the side, it resembles a longitudinal split pear-shaped structure. The size of the trophozoite is 12 to 18 mm long and 5 to 9 mm in breadth. The anterior end is broad and rounded, while the posterior end is tapered to sharp pointed ending into two flagella. It is bilateral symmetrical and all the organs of the body are paired. The parasite possesses two nuclei, two exostyle, and four pairs of flagella. Two oval nuclei are placed anteriorly within the sucking disc. These are the sucking disc. The flagella are originated from basal bodies at the anterior pole of the nuclei. The median body placed posteriorly contains cytoskeletal proteins such as giardins, actin, actinin. The dorsal surface is convex and the ventral surface is concave with sucking disc consisting of microtubules. The disc also contains giardins, actin, actinin, myosin, and tropomyosin. Due to this cytoskeletal protein, the disc becomes flexible, change its shapes, and takes important role during attachment. Giardia intestinalis in fluid stool moves forward in little rapid jerks in a definite direction, sometimes turning in a loop. The movement of the flagella is rapid like a flatfish, swimming and swaying from side to side. The movement of the parasite likes that of a falling leaf. The cyst is oval with a thick wall, measures 10 to 12 mm long and 7 mm in broad. The exostyle lie more or less diagonally, forming a sort of dividing line within the cyst wall. There are 4 nuclei, 1, 2, 3, 4, which may remain clustered at one end or lie in pairs at opposite poles. The remains of the flagella and the margins of the sucking disc may be seen inside the cytoplasm. When stained with iodine, the cyst takes yellowish brown color and the cytoplasmic material sink back from the wall. Therefore, it is said that in acid environment often causes the parasite to encyst. The major cyst wall sugar is either galactosamine or N-acetyl glucosamine. Cyst may mature and survive in water for 8 days in 21 degrees centigrade and for up to 35 days at 8 degrees centigrade. At 50 degrees centigrade, the cyst dies. 2% iodine solution will kill the cyst in 30 minutes, but chlorine normally present in the water that not able to kill the cyst. Now, if we see the life cycle of the Giardia intestinalis, it is relatively simple. When a man ingests the cyst, infection takes place. Excess smell occurs where? In the stomach. This is facilitated in an acidic environment. And peak excess smell occurs at pH 1.3 to 2.7. Within 30 minutes of ingestion, the cyst hatches out 2 trophozoites. Now, after hatching, the trophozoates travel to the upper part of the small intestine, especially duodenum and jejunum, and multiply in enormous number by binary fission. To avoid the high acidity of the duodenum, Giardia often localize in the biliary duct. When conditions in the duodenum are unfavorable, encystment occurs, usually in the large intestine. During encystment, a thick resistant wall is secreted by the parasite and the cell divides into two within the cyst. When a man ingests the cyst, the infection takes place. In some patients having significant diarrhea with short bowel transmits times, trophozoates can be found. Encystment does not occur in vitro condition. Now, Giardia has a worldwide distribution, occurring in both temperate and tropical regions, that is found every part of the world. And it is the most frequent identified human protozoal entropathogen. Prevalence rates vary from 4 to 42%. In the industrialized world, overall prevalence rate are 2 to 5%. In the developing world, Giardia intestinalis infects infants early in life and is a major cause of epidemic childhood diarrhea. Prevalence rates of 15 to 20% in children younger than 10 years are common. Giardia is the most common gut parasite in the United Kingdom, and infection rates are especially high in the Eastern Europe. Giardia intestinalis is found all over the world and is one of the most common intestinal infections in the United States, Canada, and Europe. Giardia intestinalis has high prevalence rates, particularly among young children in third world countries. And research has shown high rates of repeated infection even within the first year of life. Cysts are highly infectious. As few as 10 cysts can cause an infection in an individual. Giardia affects all regions of the United States with increased incidence in the summer months. Outbreaks are also particularly focused around daycares and nurseries. Infection occurs in the children under 5 years old, and their prejudice the most common. And what are the transmission? Generally, the fecal oral route is the usual mode of the transmission in the tropical countries, and infection occurs among the member of the family. Food handlers may contaminate the food in hotel, restaurants, and markets. Fertilizers obtained from the human excreta may contaminate vegetables, and therefore infections occurs. Through water transmission also takes place. Transmission usually occurs from man to man. Dogs and rodents may become infected and pass cysts. In comparison to adult, children pass larger number of cysts. They may be regarded as the source of infection. Now, with the help of the sucking disc, generally the parasite attaches itself to the epithelial cells in the intestine and may causes a disturbance of the intestinal dysfunction, leading to malabsorption of the fat. That is the main part of the cause of the pathogenicity. Consequently, the patient may complain of persistent looseness of the bowels and mild steatorrhea. And clinically, that case occurs. Number one, that's a disruption of the intestinal structure. Trophozoates disrupt the intestinal mucosa. Trophozoates can produce cytopathic substances such as proteinase, mannose, binding surface, lectin, etc., which can produce substantial abnormalities of the villus architecture and shortening of the villi. If you see, the blunting occurs of the villi, and the villus are ultimately atrophied. And then reduction of the disaccharide activities. When disaccharide activities are profoundly reduced, especially diarrhea is a speak. And intestinal dysfunction, that is the abnormalities in water, glucose, and electrolyte absorption, and impairment of the glucose and amino acid transfer. Then luminal factors, bacterial overgrowth, increased overgrowth or aerobic or anaerobic bacteria in the upper and small part of the intestine. Bile salt deconjugation, and that play an important role in absorption of the fat from diets. Bacterial overgrowth can deconjugate bile salts, their detergent properties are lost, and the intestinal membrane may be damaged. And next, bile salt uptake by the giardia. Depletion of the bile salts occurs in the lumen, and dietary fat absorption becomes defective. Pancreatic lipase is dependent on bile salts for hydrolytic activity. Depletion of bile salts in the intestinal lumen causes inhibition of the pancreatic lipase. And inhibition of the pancreatic enzyme especially inhibit trypsins and lipase activity. And the malabsorption, that is another pathogenicity caused by the Giardia intestinalis, retardation of the growth and development in infants and young children. Protein losing enteropathy, that's undernutrition. Allergic and inflammatory conditions in chronic giardiasis, lymphoid nodular hyperplasia, and immune deficiency occurs, which may be responsible for allergic and inflammatory conditions. And symptoms of the acute giardiasis are diarrhea, weakness, weight loss, abdominal pain, nausea, steatorrhea, vomiting, and fever. That are the common. And what are the diagnostic of the giardiasis? It may be by identification of the cyst, trophozoites, or both of the present in the fecal matter. So first one is the microscopic examination. Demonstration of the giardia cyst in the formed stools and the trophozoites of the parasite in diarrheal stools by wet preparation are useful for diagnosis, as the parasites are attached firmly to the mucosa by means of sucking dish. Even multiple stool specimens may not show any parasite. The concentration technique like zinc sulfate flotation or formalin ethyl acetate are useful when cyst starts condition. A useful method for obtaining the duodenal specimen is the entero test. And another test that is antigen detection, and another test is antibody detection. Especially in the antigen detection, the fluorescence method using a monoclonal antibody and ELISA test have been developed for detection of giardia antigen in the fecal matters. And anti-giardia may be detected in the patient's serum, ELISA, and indirect fluorescence antibody tests have been used. And the first test that I mentioned, the microscopic examination, and that is done by the entero test. And in this test, the patient is asked to swallow a gelatin capsule which contains a nylon thread at one end. The free end of the nylon thread is attached to the neck of the patient. The capsule passes through the stomach to the duodenum. In the stomach, the capsule is dissolved and thread remains in the duodenum and the jejunum. After 2 hours, the thread is withdrawn and placed in a tube containing saline, and mechanically shaking occurs. The centrifuge deposit of the saline is examined microscopically under microscope for motile trophozoites. So that are the diagnosis procedure. And how control the giardiasis. One is a prevention and another is a treatment. So first one, personal hygienic condition, that's a breaking the fecal oral cycle, and proper disposal of the human excretory substances. Water should be protected from infection. Superchlorination or iodine treatment of the water, that are the preventive steps of giardiasis. And treatment, that's a metronidazole, 2 grams for 3 days, or 400 milligram thrice for 5 days. For children, the dose is 15 milligram per kg body weight for 10 days. And another is tinidazole, and another is furazolidone. That's 100 mg 4 times a day for 7 to 10 days. These are the reference books: General Parasitology, T.C. Cheng, Medical Parasitology, A.K. Hati, Parasitology, K.D. Chatterjee, and Medical Parasitology, Babeja and Babeja. And maximum illustrations are captured from Google image. Thank you, everyone.